On October 25, 2017, a woman boarded a flight from Sofia to Athens. She did not announce she was leaving. There was no farewell, no press statement, no explanation. Behind her was an empire. Prosecutors say it had taken more than $4 billion from investors across the world. Ahead of her was silence. No courtroom, no sentence, no confirmed public sighting. Today, Ruja Ignatova remains on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. The current reward for information leading to her arrest or conviction is up to $5 million. But here is the question at the center of the OneCoin story, and it is stranger than the disappearance itself. How did millions of people invest billions of dollars into a cryptocurrency that prosecutors say did not have a public, verifiable blockchain? Not a flawed blockchain, not a limited blockchain. According to prosecutors, no public, independently verifiable ledger at all. This is how a coin with nothing behind it convinced the world it was the future of money. In 2014, cryptocurrency was a real phenomenon, but a confusing one. Bitcoin had already made early investors rich. Ordinary people had mostly missed it. That gap between what Bitcoin promised and who it actually reached was the opening OneCoin stepped into. The pitch was simple enough to understand in one sentence. Bitcoin was the first revolution. OneCoin would be the bigger one. Easier to use, easier to buy into, more accessible to the billions of people the financial system had left behind. At the center of that story was Ruja Ignatova. She was not presenting as a tech founder in a t-shirt. She arrived on global stages in formal dress, with the confident authority of someone who had already figured out what the room had not. She held a doctorate. She moved between countries, languages, and audiences without losing the message. She made complexity sound like inevitability. For people in those rooms and watching the streams, the performance worked. OneCoin was not framed as a small digital token. It was framed as a financial movement. In June 2016, OneCoin held an event at Wembley Arena in London. The venue holds thousands of people. It was filled. From the stage, the coin was presented as a Bitcoin killer, the next inevitable step in global finance. The crowd cheered. The numbers on the screen looked like momentum. The polished stage, the confident founder, the global promise. It looked exactly like what the future was supposed to look like. But there was something missing from Wembley that was missing from every OneCoin event. Something no one pointed to, because the atmosphere made it hard to ask. If everyone around you says the future is here, it becomes harder to ask whether anyone has actually checked the foundation. The foundation was the question, and the foundation was the problem. To understand why, you do not need to be a crypto expert. You only need one basic idea. A real cryptocurrency like Bitcoin runs on a public ledger called a blockchain. It records transactions. Anyone can inspect it. It does not depend on one company telling you what your coins are worth. Think of it as a ledger placed behind glass. Anyone can look. Anyone can verify. The number is not just a claim, it is provable. Prosecutors said OneCoin did not have that. No public, verifiable blockchain. That one fact changes the entire story. Without it, investors were not holding an independent financial instrument. They were holding a number controlled by the company. Here is how the machine actually worked. You bought a package, described as educational material, often thousands of euros or more. Inside that package were tokens. Those tokens were used to supposedly mine OneCoins. But this was not Bitcoin-style mining on an open network. According to prosecutors, the entire process happened inside a closed system controlled by the company. You bought in. The system credited your account. Your balance appeared on a dashboard, and the number kept rising. For someone watching that dashboard, the rising number felt like proof. Proof the coin was working. Proof demand was growing. Proof they had made the right call. But a number on a dashboard, controlled entirely by the company, with no public ledger to verify it, is not the same as real wealth. It is a display. Then there was the recruiting layer. Every buyer could become a promoter. The more people someone recruited, the more commission they earned. The more expensive the package they sold, the more the whole structure grew. The machine did not need the coin to work. It needed the network to keep expanding. And that is exactly what the price was designed to do. According to prosecutors, OneCoin's value was not set by an independent market of buyers and sellers. It was set internally. The company moved the number. The number only went up. A real market fluctuates. It reacts to supply, demand, fear, news. OneCoin's internal price moved like a story, not a market. It rose because the company said it rose. For people already inside the network, that line was hard to see. The belief and the math seemed to line up, until they did not. The red flags were there. They were not hidden. They were easier to overlook because the promise was so loud. No public, verifiable blockchain. An internal price the company alone controlled. A business model that needed constant recruitment to survive. Balances investors could see, but could not independently verify or freely sell on an outside market. But here is the part of this story that matters most for understanding why it worked. Victims were not, as a rule, talked into this by strangers on the internet. They were recruited by people they already trusted. Family, friends, colleagues, community leaders, church members. Someone who seemed successful. Someone who said they were only trying to help. Someone whose belief in the coin made the coin feel real. The dashboard balance made it feel even more real. Watching a number grow month by month, even inside a closed system, creates a powerful sensation of wealth. People borrowed against it. They recruited others to get more of it. They waited because the company always said the exchange listing was coming. OneCoin should not be understood as a story about people who failed to see an obvious trick. It was a story about trust being converted into a sales channel, and the machine ran, for years, on exactly that conversion, until investigators began to catch up. By October 2017, the pressure around OneCoin was building from multiple directions. Regulators had raised concerns. Critics had challenged the technology. Law enforcement was paying close attention. On October 12, 2017, Ruja Ignatova was charged in the Southern District of New York. 13 days later, on October 25th, the FBI says she boarded a flight from Sofia to Athens. After that, the confirmed public trail ends. No press conference, no courtroom, no explanation for the billions, no accounting for where the money went, just a flight, and then silence. The woman who had filled arenas and told the world she was building the future of money became one of the world's most wanted fugitives. The FBI says she may have traveled with armed associates. She may have changed her appearance. The current reward stands at up to $5 million. That number tells you something. The case is not cold. The search is active. Over the years, investigative journalists have examined theories that she was protected, that she had powerful help, that she may have been killed. But law enforcement has not confirmed her death. Officially, she remains a fugitive. Court filings and sentencing proceedings have exposed parts of the machine. Investigators and prosecutors have traced and forfeited some assets. But the person most associated with the story has never had to answer for it in a courtroom. Ruja Ignatova disappeared before the ledger could be balanced. And that matters because the courts still had work to do. After Ignatova vanished, the case did not vanish with her. The legal system began placing pieces of evidence on the table, and each conviction revealed a different layer of the machine. The first piece, Carl Sebastian Greenwood, co-founder, global master distributor, the man who ran the recruitment engine. Greenwood pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 20 years in prison. The court ordered him to forfeit $300 million. According to the Justice Department, he had personally earned more than that from the scheme. Greenwood's case shows what the recruitment layer actually produced. While ordinary investors watched balances on a dashboard, those at the top were extracting real money in real currency. The second piece, Mark Scott. Scott was a former partner at the law firm Locke Lord. Prosecutors said he laundered approximately $400 million in OneCoin proceeds, moving fraud money through fake investment funds designed to make it look like legitimate investment activity. Scott was convicted in 2019 and sentenced to 10 years in prison in January 2024. His case revealed that the scheme had professional infrastructure, not just hype and a stage show, but legal channels built to move the money. The third piece, Irina Dilkinska. Her title at OneCoin was Head of Legal and Compliance, the role that, in a legitimate company, exists to prevent wrongdoing. According to the Justice Department, she used it to help facilitate it. Dilkinska pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 4 years in prison. 3 convictions, 3 layers of the same machine: the recruitment engine, the money laundering channel, and the compliance contradiction. Together, they show that OneCoin was not just a charismatic founder and a compelling stage act. It was an organized operation with professional participants, financial channels, and legal language built around it. In April 2026, the Justice Department opened a remission process for OneCoin victims. More than $40 million in forfeited assets became available for potential compensation. Hold that number. More than $4 billion in alleged losses. More than $40 million available. That gap is not a statistic. It is the missing money at the heart of this case. OneCoin took the language of the future: blockchain, mining, financial inclusion, digital currency, and built a sales machine out of it. It did not ask people only to invest. It asked them to believe early, before the proof, before the exchange listing, before the outside world could independently verify anything. And for years, belief was enough. Enough to fill Wembley, enough to build a network across continents, enough to move billions. But a financial system cannot run forever on belief alone. At some point, the ledger has to be opened. The money has to be accounted for. The technology has to be real. For OneCoin, that moment never fully arrived. 3 people went to prison. A fraction of the losses was recovered. And Ruja Ignatova is still missing. The red flag was not buried inside complex code. It was not hidden behind legal fine print. It was hiding in plain sight. A currency no one could independently verify. A price no real market could test. And a founder who disappeared before the ledger was ever balanced. Subscribe to Red Flag Ledger for more documentaries on financial crime, missing money, and the red flags people ignored.